Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. It has once again become painfully apparent that I have a rather large hole in my metal knowledge. Korn. Not like the corn that makes really good chips and guac, but Korn with a K, which is apparently a band that's responsible for pioneering new metal. Thank you to everyone that has been making this suggestion. I'm really excited to learn more about metal evolution. Let's get to it.
Takes a part of me, something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe, something's raped and taken from me.
Whoa, there's a lot about this sound that actually is very grating to me. Just from the very first sound of guitar, there's something with the pitch and the distortion that immediately gets on my nerves and makes my ears listen intensely. It draws the attention, but not like a, ooh, what's this? But like a, oh, what's that? kind of reaction. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to try and put my finger on what this is that makes me prickle a little bit. I think it's playing with the pitch a little bit in there too. It's like, ooh, it feels a little distorted somehow. Whoa.
Something takes a part of me, something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe, something's raped and taken from me.
Okay, his voice right off the bat has a lot of what I would call grunge characteristics in it, while also sort of bringing in some creaks from a lot of pop music too. This kind of like a almost squeaky door kind of sound that he brings in. And additionally, I hear something that I have edited out of my voice before while reading audiobooks, which I called nasal gunk. And this is essentially my soft palate was dropping and I was catching a little extra pocket in my nose. But instead of trying to veer away from that sound, it sounds like he's leaning into it, this sort of nasality in the sound. Maybe that's partly why it reminds me so much of grunge right away. One more time from his vocal entrance. Here-ish. Oop, no further.
Something takes a part of me, something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe, something's raped and taken from me.
It was like just a few seconds ago where I heard that nasal gunk thing especially loudly. It sounds like it's really meant to be partly spoken, and a lot of times I'm not getting really defined held pitches in there. I think that this is very much on purpose, and I want to continue on to see how he sustains.
Life's gotta always be messing with me. Can't it chill and let me be free? Can't I take away all this pain? I to every night, all in vain. Sometimes I can't.
It's so interesting. Like it feels like it has elements of rap, but it's a little bit more sustained. I was really interested in that backing vocal too. It sounded like it was coming through this weird, distorted, faraway tube. Also, I'm sort of fascinated by the music video, but there's too much going on for me to really track it well. Let's go back a little more.
Taken from me.
And he's doing a lot with expressive breath noises too.
Things raped and taken from me, from me. Life's gotta always be messing with me.
It's very alien.
Chill and let me be free. Can't I take away all this pain? I try to every night, all in vain, in vain. Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste.
Oh my goodness, I was so worried about that bullet in the girl for a little bit. I'm really glad that went past her and destroyed a lava lamp? Question mark. There's also a huge musical shift there where it looks like it went from animation and then like combined this animation into real world, which was very, very cool. I like the way that we're suddenly taken to like a different domain.
Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace.
Whoa, whoa. I love the way that the sound expanded and that the music video really echoed that. You had obviously a much more expansive guitar sound, a fuller sound there, and then we had that echoing from that tube-ish alien sound as well from his voice, which is more present in there. It's very interesting. It's almost like we were only seeing in 2D before. Now we have 3D, right? There's just a really cool approach to the different realities there. Interesting. I'll back a little further. And then right there with the gunshot. This is a cool music video. Whoa, whoa. That is such a crazy transition. I'll talk a little bit about the voice here in just a moment, but wow, the way that we had Ricciardo basically slowing down of the tempo in there, almost feels jazzy for a moment, more acoustic in nature, and then just goes straight back in. It's so bizarre. It feels very progressive to me. But I guess this is considered new metal. And you, by the way, not NEW, which is what I originally thought people meant when they said new metal. And yeah, oh, Elizabeth, how young and childish you were just a little while ago. So I'm going to go back again. His voice has got some really fun surprises in it. I'm going to call this first voice, we'll just call it voice A, and then let's go to voice B here. So I'm going to call that voice B, and then there's a voice C in here. I'm going to call that voice C right there, because that is really quite different from any of the others we've heard. The first one has a ton of nasality in the sound. It has a lot of focus. It's a little more condensed sound as well. And the way he's essentially bouncing off of a particular resonant area within this face mask, it's able to carry words really well. It has a buzz in it that can carry. That kind of voice will have a little more projection power than the voice C. Voice C has got a lot of air in it. It's got a lightness to it. That's the kind of voice that you really want to choke up onto a mic with so that you can get a little more carry power out of it. that voice doesn't have as much of like a pressed feeling in the vocal folds. It has a lot more air that's coming through, right? Of course, it sounds airy, it sounds breathy. That's because there's lots of air coming through. And then you have voice B in the middle. And that's where we get sustained sound. But this sustained sound has distortion on top of it. So he's really distorting the entire time. He constantly has kind of a gritty sound that's present there. And I think it's so interesting that we have these three different sounds because they are all fundamentally very differently created. Okay, I want to go back to that spot and just, if you can, if you're singing along, try to create those sounds with him. See if you can mimic him and notice how they feel different.
Feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace.
Right
Something takes a part of me. You and I were meant to be. A cheap for me to lay. Something takes a part of me. Feeling like a freak on a leash.
Maybe I should call it distorted voice, voice D. Voice distorted. Well, it's distorted in a different way, though. Another distortion. Alien. No, maybe that should have been voice A. Anyhow, I think it's so interesting to hear that he's got these three really defined colors. I want to talk a little bit about pitch as well. A lot of times when we're talking about singing, what's considered good singing is somebody who can sing on pitch, on a defined pitch, right? Like it's clearly on note A, on an A4 or a C6 if we want a high C. That is one way of describing if singing is good. And if that was our standard for good singing, his wouldn't be good. I think that our standard on this channel for singing is the voice expressive? Is it giving us a message? And in that regard, he's really hitting the mark. He moves around and the pitch goes sharp. Sometimes it'll go a little flat sometimes. I also hear that he distinctly does not want us to care about the pitch at times, which I think is a fun lesson for classical ears to learn. It reminds me a little bit of Chester Bennington, of the way that he'll push sharp to increase the intensity of the emotion. And if I'm really honest, there are also some other fantastic opera singers out there who are able to just really steadily be on the mark, on the pitch, and then they'll push it a little bit sharp to get a little extra excitement. So I don't even know that perfect pitch is something we should consider as good singing, because ultimately we just want to feel something. So anyhow, if we're talking about expression, I think it's really important to listen to his expression and listen to the way that he's messing with our sense of pitch.
Feeling like a freak on a leash. Feeling like I have no release. How many times have I felt disease? Nothing in my life is free.
That's a great example, again, of him using an audible breath to give us extra expression.
How many times have I felt disease? Nothing in my life is free. Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace.
I'm coming to really love this transitional section. There's something about it that feels almost like we're just trying to also break reality. I think that's partly because of that amazing transition from the animated to real life shooting for the music video. That was really, really cool. It definitely makes me feel like I'm splashing into a different zone. This idea of this bullet always following through, I think it's just brilliantly done. I think the music video is extraordinary. And I think it was done in, I want to say 99. That's very, very impressive work. I'm going to go back to it because there's something about this transition that just makes you want to get lost in it.
It's free. Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace. Something takes a part of me.
Wow. It's just so satisfying when you get this, after this transitional moment that feels more angsty and frustrated. When we get to the chorus, there's a sense of release in the aggressive sound and his emotion, and also the fullness of the sound in the band. It feels like we've just expanded outwards and are able to feel a lot of cathartic emotions. It's fascinating to me. If I'm just thinking about the feeling of the music, not even the words, there's a feeling of release there, even though it becomes more aggressive.
I see me fall from grace. Something takes a part of me. You and I were meant to be. Arching for me alone. Something takes a part of me.
Okay, I'm gonna go back because this is a really cool sound.
Part of me.
Okay, he's definitely layered his sound in there in a couple of ways, and it's almost like he's beatboxing at the same time. Obviously, we've got syllables that aren't really real words, but there's a sustain in there that's like singing and beatboxing at the same time. And I also think that there was some sound, maybe a couple sounds that were done with inhales. And again, he used an audible breath too.
Part of me.
I'm not sure that there's an inhaled in there. It might just be the inhale audible breath that we hear. Because you'd have to get a lot of sound out to have that audible breath again, and within this sort of loop that he's doing. It's fascinating how he's using distortion in that, and also keeping pitch in it. This is really cool. This is a very strange sound for me to hear. It almost sounds like a dog that's barking at one point in there. Or maybe like David Draymond from Disturbed like came in and added a little extra layer in there as well. Okay, and I didn't even talk about the cool stops the bullet moment, and now they're all interacting with the bullet. This is such a crazy, awesome music video. I've loved the through line of the bullet throughout, and the way he's like, yeah, no, I can turn back bullets here is just so awesome, especially because this part is so awesome and unexpected. By the way, I read that he was really inspired by Faith No More, and right here is where I get that kind of feeling from this. Almost feels like a rap section that's really experimenting with a ton of sound. Whoa. Okay, that was also delightful to get to hear that loop over and over and over in there. And he might have done a little bit of editing where he went back and had some of those parts repeat, but I think he was going for quite a while just on his own because I could hear slightly different pitch variation between different ones. And then this drop into the instrumental. Again, there's something that feels extremely fulfilling. And I think that's partly because, especially when the instruments came into that scatting section, what do we want to call this? This beatbox. I feel like this is new metal beatbox. So this new metal beatbox section, once we got into there were more of those kind of almost slightly grating instrumental sounds. And they were all a little bit more scattered and light. And then we suddenly dropped in and filled the whole sound out one more time. And again, it felt very satisfying, like a very strong release. I'll go back one more time. Oh, with the go there too, that's cool. Wow, he's really exploring his sound like crazy. A lot of you, I keep thinking about Faith No More and how you'd recommended that I check out Korn after listening to Faith No More, and I really see that connection here. They have a lot of things in common, especially in these last two sections. I like the way it almost sounds like we have different singers that are putting all of these strings of syllables, of sort of nonsense syllables together. And I think back to the beginning when I was talking about these different voices that he has, I bet that he is able to just flip back and forth between different kinds of voices like crazy. Even in this section, that doesn't go with a lot of the first ABC voices that I identified before. I think we've got some additional new ones here, but his flipping of the switch between those two voices or three voices that he's got in this section, it's very, very quick. It sounds very practiced and also kind of fun to do. I know that I've got distortion in there that is so intense. I don't think we have the true vocal folds going, so that would be just other fleshy bits going wacka, wacka, wacka and creating just distortion, not so much pitch with them, so no true vocal folds. We definitely have moments where we were combining the two, though. And then we also, it sounded like I had different locations of distortion in some parts. At least it sounds like he's probably using his singing hole like crazy to make different pitch centers more accented. This is fascinating. I hear his resonance and focus of the sound bouncing around like crazy in that section. It's really insane. It's really cool to listen to. I feel super, super fascinated. Yeah, cannonball! with all of these near misses, they've built up a lot of tension for when the bullet stops. And in watching this, I feel nervous about how it's all gonna end. That was a cool sound. That'd be so cool to see visually the way it peters from right side to left side here. Is really cool. Oh my gosh. I, first of all, love this music video's resolution to the bullet. Also, the voice is really interesting. He goes so much into a creaky sound at the end. It's like he embraces a wicked witch kind of cackle at the end, and he's already really far forward in that nasal area we often associate as being witchy as well. Oh, fascinating. He embraces weird sounds, and I love it. Superpowers! Thank you. Wow. Ooh, overall, I think that this video was just extraordinary. I love the storyline, but also the story of the voice and the specificity that it was developing with over time, eventually getting into a spot where we had tons of weird noises happening and flipping very quickly between them. That was just totally fascinating. I'd be very interested in hearing more. So let me know in the comments what else I should listen to. And if you'd like to see some more analysis of metal music, you can check that out in this playlist over here. May you fall more in love with music every day.